Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. I'm your host, PattSun, and today we're gonna be taking a look at r/surviving infidelity, where OP's cheating wife got the surprise of her life when she found out she will get absolutely nothing. Let's begin. Here's my update a couple months later, posted by Reddit user MNFinger.
I had my D-Day on February 3rd this year. I caught my wife in a 3-week affair because she didn't seem to understand that phone's track. You and I caught wind of it, literally a few days into it. I kept pressuring her to tell me the truth, and she kept lying. Eventually, it led February 3rd. She'd been having an affair for 3 weeks with a fricking coworker, telling him how she thinks our marriage is ending, and the fact of the matter is, it wasn't even fricking ending. Originally, I offered her grace and a chance for repentance. I now realize 100% that repentance was feigned and pointless. Originally, we had agreed, if either one of us had a divorce, we would tell that spouse's parents and any close friends who would be of help. She wouldn't budge on it after the affair, saying she doesn't want them to know. I made it clear that she had agreed to it and it wasn't up for discussion. So I told her parents, and so on, as to those who needed to know. Fact of the matter is, she said she was willing for reconciliation at the time and was so sorry and never would do it again. But she also said at that time she didn't want to get rid of AP because AP was a friend, to which I had made it clear that's not what fricking friends do. Eventually, she goes no contact with them because she agrees to me monitoring every single little move that she has to prove that she'll never do it again. Well, lo and behold, she gets a job somewhere else, and unlike the previous AP who was doing everything to be secretive, I am now 100% certain she has a new AP again. Originally, I wasn't that suspicious, but I had enough suspicions that I was on guard, and then eventually, out of nowhere, lo and behold, she's snapping the guy. He's calling her sexy and hot, and so on. I asked her what's going on. She says, oh, nothing. It was probably an accident. I now realize it wasn't a fricking accident. Honestly, quite frankly, it was interesting because she befriended Edith, a co-worker, apparently, that was a girl, and said she wanted to stay the night there because she felt like I was giving her anxiety. But I have been doing everything in my power to be understanding and supportive, while at the same time being open to reconciliation myself. She said she was going to this friend's place, and guess where she goes? To the fricking guy's place. She's been fricking snapping. I asked her if she made it to that friend's place. She didn't respond, and then when she told me she made it, I asked for a picture and didn't send a single fricking picture. If anything, I'm just saying this is a warning. Yes, it is possible for recovery and reconciliation, but 9 times out of 10, just assume they're going to fricking cheat again and leave. I am fed up with this goddamn bullshit. Now for OP's update. A couple months ago, I came on here and gave y'all a rant about my situation where reconciliation had clearly failed. Essentially, wife ran off with another man, got herself caught, and from there I started making my moves that I had to make. I have since contacted a lawyer and had a separation agreement drawn up. She agreed to only having 10% custody and me having 90% custody. More importantly, she has refused any alimony and child support. During this time frame, up until now, I've battled a lot with depression, and honestly, at the time, I wanted to go to the shadow realm. However, thankfully, I've been able to make it through. I have sought help from my primary care provider. I have also taken on doing meditation and breathing work, as well as making sure I'm hitting the gym and got myself a better job, making better pay, and I'm clearing $1,600 a month after bills. I have thrown myself into my religion, all the much more, tying it off with the breathing work that I am doing in the meditation, which has helped me in leaps and bounds. The doctor has also prescribed me trazodone in order to help with the insomnia that I incurred, as well as to help counteract some of the depression. She ended up wanting the Honda Pilot, which had a loan on it, and I actually tried to be nice and give her my car, which I owned outright. She denied it and said she wanted the Honda Pilot. Well, lo and behold, she has no verifiable income because she's getting paid under the table and not even getting paid enough to afford a loan to begin with. Her boss, who she left me for, was talking about how he was going to cover the loan and everything, and lo and behold, he isn't covering anything. The separation agreement also says she's supposed to have the Honda Pilot, but because she can't afford it, my lawyer has okayed me selling it since she has agreed to it. The look of defeat on her face as I told her I'm not giving her my car was priceless. So now she has no verifiable income, no job really, and now no car. I'm sharing all of this to say that in the beginning, I really thought I'm the one who had the loss in one sense, but just in a span of 2 months, I've begun to realize I'm the one walking away with a big fat win. Her family has been more than helpful with me watching my son for me while I go to work, taking him to his appointments, and her stepmom, who works at the school he'll be going to for play school, as well as actually it being a private school, he'll be attending there, so she'll be helping with that, along with her father. Her grandparents have helped me in tremendous ways and watch my son for me on occasion. Long story short, when they figured out that she was lying to them about where she was actually staying, they were irate with her. So now moving forward, my goal is to keep pushing on and be an amazing father for my son, because that's what he deserves. I do want to thank y'all for the encouragement that y'all gave me at the end of the day.
And then, OP made this comment that gave us a very vital piece of information.
She already legally bound herself to no alimony, no child support, and the 10% to which she has no showed our son on a few occasions. My lawyer made it airtight.
You know, OP, at this point, you are doing everything correctly, bettering yourself mentally, physically, and religiously. Stay on that path and everything will work out, not just for you, but for your baby boy as well. But OP, if you can, please try to get 100% custody. She has already failed to show up for the little 10% custody that she has. And for what reason? For some random man that she had an affair with? She's gonna throw away her own child? That is no mother. Keep her away from your son. And now for today's second story. Fire me for compliance? I'll get your business shut down by the state. Posted by Reddit user Team Brenda Walsh.
This happened in 2007 or 2008. I was a licensed esthetician and was about to start grad school. I find a job listing wanting estheticians for a new med spa to perform laser treatments. This was starting to be a booming industry, and the hours were perfect for grad school, and the hourly rate was generous. I got the job offer, and they stated that the compensation for the training was getting our certification as a laser technician, which cost $3,500. They sent me this in an email. This detail is important. I felt that this was fair, and the training was before the spa opened, and I had a job at the time, and the training didn't interfere. Training went well. The owner and his wife were a little weird, and the wife told us time and again that we always had to call him Dr. Steve and to not forget. No one had forgot. They were from a foreign country, so I shrugged it off as a cultural difference, and I didn't want to judge. They mentioned that they were going to find brands of skincare and makeup to sell in the med spa, normal, and needed to find a line of chemical peels for services. I offered to reach out to contacts and got all of these for them. I wasn't being paid, but I didn't mind because I want to work with quality products and knew I'd benefit from it. They were beyond grateful. All seems well. 2 weeks before the spa opened, we began our paid work. We were setting up the spa, and the owner's wife, who claimed to be an esthetician, was going to teach us some of the massages for facials. All normal practice. The first week was set up and everything seemed normal. They did mention that they had another partner, an American doctor, but we wouldn't see him a lot. His name was in our brochures. I thought it was weird that he was in the brochures for services, but I was like, who knows? Maybe he invested a lot and has an ego. I brought one of the brochures home to show my roommate. It had Dr. Steve's business card stapled on it too. Again, this is an important detail. Week 2 is when things got weird. The owner's wife, I'll call her wife, started training us on the massages. The first seemed normal, but then some were clearly crossing the lines of our scope of practice, like massaging glutes, something that is appropriate for a massage therapist. And I got some weird vibes when they said that they knew a lot of the male clients they had lined up would be requesting this. Now, some men go to med spas, but the majority of clients are women, so this was a red flag. At the end of the day, I explained to wife that the massages that she was showing were not in the scope of practice, and that I didn't feel comfortable performing them, and that it could cost us our license if someone reported. She told me that I wasn't educated. I have a college degree and went to beauty school and was starting my first week of my master's degree. I told her I'd be happy to bring her the info the next day. Then the same day, Dr. Steve got mad that my coworker asked him a question, and he pushed her up against a wall hard and told her to get the F out. I was already like, I'm gonna look for a new job ASAP. The next morning I come in and they tell me that I'm an unintelligent troublemaker and was being let go. I'm pissed off because they are basically asking me to massage men in their bathing suit areas, which is something I didn't want to do and wasn't licensed to do. But I was starting grad school and figured that I could enjoy maybe a month or two of unemployment and focus on my studies. I go home and think, people in this industry know the scope of practice and owners should know this. I wonder if she's really an esthetician. Professional licenses are public record. I go in and search. She's not. Then a light goes off in my head. He's probably not a doctor. I check, and he's not. In this state, you have to have a doctor in the building at all times when laser procedures are being done. I check for the third doctor who was in the pamphlet, and we never saw and was never there, and he is a doctor. They were using his name to perform the treatments. I shake my head and think that I dodged a bullet. I file right away for unemployment, and it gets denied because they said I only worked for 2 weeks. This state requires 6 weeks to file. I march into the unemployment office with all of the emails that I printed out, including the one that said that our compensation for training that occurred over a 5-week period was worth $3,500. Win for me, they had to pay me unemployment. Now is my ProRevenge. I decide, since they fired me for saying we were not abiding by the rules of the state so they wouldn't lose their license, that I would get them to lose their license. Now that I had free time, I called the state and reported them for operating a medical spa with laser treatments without a doctor on site and fraud, because Dr. Steve and wife claimed to have professional licenses that they didn't carry. They asked if I had any proof, and I had both of their business cards plus the brochure. They told me to bring them in, and I did. They asked about Dr. 3, and I said, he's never there, you can check. So they called and asked for him as a potential customer, and they said, he's not here, you can talk to Dr. Steve. Their business was shut down. They had a very expensive lease in a big building on Michigan Ave. They had 3 laser machines that were each at the time a few $100,000 each. They also had supplies, chairs, products that probably cost about $100,000. And their business was boarded up. And one of the girls that I knew that was still working there, she was looking for something else, but couldn't afford to quit without something lined up, told me that when they came to shut the place down, the owner was screaming that he had lost everything and was ruined. They were also being charged with impersonating a doctor and practicing without a license. Wife was yelling at him saying, you said this was going to be easy and it wasn't a big deal, and now we have nothing and will have criminal records. She had been calling me and telling me that shady men were coming in for those weird massages, and the owners were trying to encourage her to be extra nice and go out with him if he asks. My former coworker was now thrilled because she was able to get out of there early and was on the last round of job interviews, and unemployment could carry her until that started, and she didn't have to fend off creeps. I looked for jobs and found one, but enjoyed my first term of grad school with extra time to study and straight A's, play stupid and illegal games, win stupid prizes.
You know, I am honestly surprised that the employee Dr. Steve pinned to the wall didn't file for a lawsuit. And I'm also quite surprised that Dr. Steve and his wife actually thought that they could get away with this. What a bunch of fucking idiots. Viewer support is the best way for me to remain independent and continue bringing you these daily videos, which will always be here on my channels for you to watch absolutely free. So please consider subscribing to me on Rumble and on YouTube. Both will be linked in the description box down below. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you even somewhat enjoyed today's story, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you really like it, consider subscribing to PattSun to never miss a future upload. Stay strong.